welcome to another episode of Say More Words. We have a special guest today, and I'm so very excited. So before she introduces herself, Hilary, I do want you to tell us what the song of the day is.
Ooh, okay. The song of the day is If I Were a Cowboy, I'd Be the Queen by Miranda Lambert.
The Queen.
The Queen.
The Queen. I had no idea that she grew up and started so predominantly here in Texas. So people here love her.
Oh yeah, she's a Texan.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm so excited today to get to bring to the table Hilary Hoff, who, so funny. I'll get into the background of how we met in a little bit, but first, can you just give us a quick synopsis of who you are?
Absolutely. So, like Tamika said, my name is Hilary Hoff. I am a mom of two crazy kiddos, a wife. My husband's name is Dusty, and a small business owner. I'm a certified financial planner, and I run a financial planning practice here in Wisconsin.
Yay. So Wisconsin, obviously she's connected to my younger life and younger days. So fun fact, Hilary's older sister and I were best friends when I was in middle school, when I moved to Galesville, Ettrick, Trempealeau, the middle school, whatever there. So we were best friends. And it was so funny because I think it was gosh, it's probably a couple of years ago now that you reached out and you're like, hey, I've seen what you're doing. We should be friends, and now we're friends. So I love that. But one of the things that we really connected with is that strong leadership, that strong female role that is so looked down upon in our society still. And so, Hilary, if you could tell us a little bit about kind of what your life looks like and how that is so prevalent in your life.
Totally. Yeah. Tamika and I both, strong women supporting strong women. Very passionate about that. I guess a little bit of background. I worked in corporate finance for about 10 years, from internship on. And that was really my first role out of college. And I think if any of us that have worked in a corporate role, typically you get a little taste of the boys club. And so, really being there in the office 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., traveling, right? Really showing face, being able to show up is how you get promoted, right? Rubbing elbows with the right people, putting on this persona. And I think a lot of times we're told, or it's even shown to us, that you can't have a family and a successful career. It's typically one or the other. And I became more aware of that as time went on. And the higher up that you move, typically the more work you're doing, the more time you're putting in. And I didn't want that. I was very clear with most people that I could get more done in a shorter amount of time than a lot of my peers. And it was still important for me to have a family and, have a life outside of work. And so when my husband and I became clients of our old financial advisor, who's now my partner, when I came in, there was no one that looked like me. There were no female advisors. There were no people of color in my office. And statistics just show, whether you like it or not, not to offend anybody, but statistics just show that most financial advisors are 55-year-old white dudes. That's just how it is.
Oh, we got.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot of 55-year-old white dudes that I love, right? My dad, he's great. So not a knock on them, but it's okay, now as our society's changing, a lot of the breadwinners are shifting to women. And statistics show that over time, over the next few years, women are going to be inheriting a lot of money. The majority of the breadwinners of the households are women. And statistics just show that a lot of women want to talk to another woman. And so, for me coming in, I was a fairly strong personality, so I didn't really have a problem working with a man financial advisor. But a lot of my peers do. They aren't as comfortable, maybe. They want someone that's maybe a little more like them, that they can connect with. And so I saw this huge opportunity to help more people and be a voice for the underrepresented, right? And don't get it twisted. Underrepresented doesn't mean only the really struggling financial folks that, are in a lot of debt and all of that. No, doesn't mean that's the only people I'm working with. It can be really strong, highly motivated, career successful women that feel like they should know what they're doing, but they also want someone to guide them. And so that's really a lot of the space that I'm working in. A lot of corporate individuals, a lot of small business owners that are highly motivated and highly successful, but still, that's why I have a job, right? To give them the right tools to be successful and to be a judgment-free zone. And so, I know you've heard me say this, Tamika, but nothing bad happens when women have more wealth. So if I can empower women to, make the right decisions and just have the right tools, we're creating generational wealth, which is amazing.
Absolutely. I think one of the most powerful things I've ever heard you say too is that it does not matter if you have millions or you have $5. Like, you need to start your financial plan now. And I think there's such a stigma, especially with women, where they think like, I have nothing, so why would I invest? Or I have this, or I don't have that, or, like there's this, we were told, and this is, this is generational trauma inside of money, inside of women, is that, women didn't have the opportunity to make their own money or have their own checking account. So it's still learned behaviors, but like, you help everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And most women don't even think about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So many people think that they're undeserving. Only the uber wealthy need a financial planner or a financial plan. And the truth is, right, the best time to start having this conversation was yesterday for most of us. So right knowledge is power. Whether or not there's anything you really need to take action on, maybe not. But I think just being empowered to know that you're doing the right things, or if there are small changes that you can make, is just life-changing for the future.
Yeah. So I want to kind of shift and talk a little bit about, as a woman entrepreneur who is highly successful, is running after your dreams and your goals. Like, you just got your CFP last year after after like a hellish year of all the different things inside of your personal life, and like things change. Not hellish, I shouldn't say hellish year, but just like so many things change.
You can say hellish. It's a little hellish.
It was a hellish year. So like, and you still achieved like one of the things that most people fail at. Like, so what are you doing that is different to either keep yourself motivated? Like, how is the main question. Like, how are you doing all of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm a little, my husband tells me that I'm a little bit crazy. And I think just with our lifestyle, right? We have 2 kids, one has special needs. Being a little crazy keeps us from going insane. That's what he says. It's an old country song.
Yeah.
Waylon Jennings. So I think it's true, right? Like, you have to be a little crazy and highly motivated. But I think it's also important to know that this is a season, right? The year-long process of me studying, putting 20 hours a week in for my CFP, spending a lot of nights and weekends, early mornings, it's not forever.
Yeah.
So if it's building up, a lifestyle for my family where it's going to provide the flexibility, the time, and the financial resources for me to continue to support our son while, he has other things, throughout the future, then to me, that's worth it. So I think more importantly, it's taken a lot of communication between my husband and I, because we're both business owners. Mm-hmm. So while we're both running hard at things, it's easy to get a little selfish with putting our priorities first, but also trying to create space for each other.
Yeah.
To make sure that the other person has time to focus on their goals. And so I would say, and you've helped me with this, but like having a morning routine and like practicing gratitude, spending a lot of time on my calendar and my daily priorities. Dusty and I, are both trying to stay on a workout routine and, make time for each other, right? Date night sometimes feels like in the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur that you don't have the time or finances to really be making yourself a priority. But there is no way that I would have any sanity if I didn't. So, date nights, right? If I can find a high schooler to babysit for a couple hours every other week, one night, so we can just go grab dinner and have a conversation for an hour with nobody yelling mom. Or, a cleaning lady. I'm also, for my housekeeper, she's my favorite person. She's also my mom. But find a housekeeper, right? Like my goal is when, the time comes and I can afford her every single week, I will. Right now it's every other week. And even that is just a huge time saver and helps me feel like I have my life together. And so where are there little things that you can delegate so that you can focus on the things that really drive your, future, your goals forward. So I'm really passionate about that too.
It's so important. And the thing that, it's funny. I was talking with a group of people. I'm like, some people get so scheduled down in their routine, like in their time of looking at like, well, when can we be intimate? When can we do this? When can we do that? Like scheduling it. And people are like, well, that takes all the fun out of, your personal life. Absolutely, it does not. It relieves the stress and everybody knows what to expect and what's happening. And we have to get so detailed in, like exactly as you said, when we're having date nights with your children, like all these different things that people think it takes the fun out of life, when in actuality, it makes your life so much easier.
Amen.
It reduces the stress. One of the things that I love talking with you about, and because it's not everybody that gets to experience it, but as a strong female entrepreneur, everyone around you has an opinion about everything. How you show up, what you do with your kids. When I started traveling last year, the big thing was, well, how can you do that? How can you leave your kids? How can you do this? And so what do you do during those times when everyone has an opinion about what it is that you're doing?
Yeah. There's lots of opinions out there, aren't there? And I think I experienced it in corporate and I experience it now because there are times when you run really hard and then there are times when you rest. But sometimes it appears that people are only seeing the times that you're running hard, right? The times that you're working late, you're studying for your next designation, you're traveling, all of those things. And I would say like the culture here at my practice, and with Northwestern Mutual, like we spend a lot of time together outside of working hours. Like it's really important for our culture, our team. We do a lot of things with our family and our spouses. And so sometimes it's like, okay, people perceive that as work, but it's like, okay, well, it's not really work. But yeah, I get it from a lot of angles of, even dropping Luther off at school last year. There were definitely times where if I dropped him off, it's like, oh my gosh, mom's here.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I do know where his school is.
Yeah, thank you.
Usually dad dropping off. But, with all of that, I remind myself and I remind others, hey, when we left for Luther's surgery this spring for 7 weeks, I was able to keep the wheels on, right? Work remote 2 days a week and keep my practice going.
Yeah.
My husband and I both went up to St. Paul for his surgery, right? And we were there the whole time.
Yeah.
Those are the things that people don't see. Or, most people that know me know I'm never in the office before 9 a.m. ever. Even if I'm here at 9, that's early.
Yeah.
And so, I might be working till 7 to 8 o'clock one night a week. So, I'm not there for bedtime, but I was there in the morning, right? Snuggling my kids before school, before they went to daycare, we had breakfast together. So it's hard to shut out that noise, but you find what works for you. And I grew up in a rural family, you know, blue collar family where my parents worked that, you know, nine to five, which is not realistic, more like 7 to 5.
Right.
And, you know, they weren't able to be there during the day if we had like a, you know, lunch with parents at school or to take me to practice in the summer, things like that. Like they were at work and they didn't have any flexibility. And I'm creating this life as an entrepreneur where I'm going to be able to be there for my kids, all the sporting events, all of the, you know, concerts, all of the running them in the middle of the day on a Wednesday if needed. And so if that means that I do have to work late one night or I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to do emails a couple mornings, hey, it's worth it for me.
I think so, some really powerful things that you said, like you can get more done in a short amount of time than the average person can do in a day, which I think is very important in the role that you play in your business and your family's life, but also that acknowledgement of time. Like what time is the most important for you? You know, for some people, it's everyone has to be home at dinner, but for you, it's I want to be there in the morning to snuggle and have a start to the day. And that's one of the things that people don't, especially women, don't acknowledge, like what time is the most important for you, for your family, and work around that time. People say that they're an entrepreneur for the freedom and flexibility. What you're actually gunning after is, oh shit, what did they say?
Control?
No. Well, yeah, control.
Because I feel like that's it for me, right? Like I'm not saying I work less hard now as an entrepreneur than I did as an employee.
Yeah.
But there's something about doing it on my schedule, right? We look at, oh my gosh, like people that get here first in the morning are the hardest workers. And no, I mean, any of us moms know, like we pretty much had a full day by 8 a.m.
By 8 a.m.
Meltdown, getting kids ready for school. Like
we live 10,000 lives by that time. Like,
yes, amen.
And it's so good for people to identify like the old standards of good workers that just doesn't exist anymore. And really,
and I love spending time on that with my clients because it's not all about just becoming a millionaire, but it's, you know, with a lot of the people that I work with that have the dreams or want, maybe they have a side hustle and they want to take the leap and make that happen. It's like, how do you find control, right? Happiness. And it can be a balance. But for me, when I started this, it was like, hey, how can I make the same amount of money, but do it on my turn? Yeah. And so I think empowering people to do those things, like what's important to them, where they're fulfilled, where they're, you know, doing it in their pockets of the day and whatever it may be. If I can empower them and give them the right tools to do that, that brings me a lot of joy.
That's the joy. That's it. And you've been able to help so many people that I care about. And so I do truly appreciate the fact that one, you are a strong female leader, but two, you're creating an environment that women can succeed in wealth. And so I truly appreciate the knowledge that you bring to the table, who you are as a person and how honest and real you are in that space, because it's one of the things I shared last week that a lot of people just aren't honest.
Yeah.
And being honest, I think, is one of your, you know, I almost said one of your Mouska tools. Oh, sweet Jesus, fix it.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Fix it. But truly, it's like one of your tools that you have, because like life is hard, it's hellish, but it's also brilliant and beautiful and wonderful, and you make it what it is. And I appreciate that level of honesty from you.
Thank you. Yeah, authenticity is definitely a core value of mine. So, in the Midwest here, we struggle a little bit with the Midwest nice, where people, you know, dance around what they want to say, and you know, just kind of avoid confrontation, or not even confrontation, but just like, yeah, being honest, what they're feeling. And I think with most things, like finance is 90% emotional, 10% logic. A lot of it has, and I think this is where, you know, you and I have had a lot of conversations around this, is understanding people's trauma, understanding how they grew up, how they feel about it, because that's where a lot of this comes from. I mean, understanding how you feel about it, being comfortable with it, it helps you to actually take action on things.
Amen. Well, it's awareness. Step one, you can't change anything unless you're aware of it. And so many people, I have the same one.
Ooh, Stanley. I even have a little sticker that says, let's go,
go girls. I love it. Mine says, this is how magic feels, but it kind of like is gone. So I need to get new stickers. I used to have the Prince emblem here and that one fell off. So
this is how magic feels or tastes. What's actually in your cup, Tamika?
It's a good question. Actually, it's so funny because Calvin yesterday, when I picked him up, he goes, Mom, what's in this cup? And I'm like, it's the big one. It's always water.
Oh, sometimes I put something in this and my kids think it's water. I'm like, no, not today.
Not today.
You can't have a drink.
The big ones have just water. The little ones are questionable.
Love it.
Well, Hilary, I am so very grateful for you and who you are in my life and who you are in the lives of my people. And I'm so happy to share my audience with you because you are just brilliant. So thank you for being here with us and saying all the words.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah. You know, you can tell that this is a subject that I'm really passionate about, so I could talk about it all day. You know, we've shared a little bit about how a man is not a plan, and just taking your finances into your own hands and just having awareness, even if you're married. Like, my husband's great, but again, I trust him with a lot of things, but you still need to have an understanding of this stuff. So yes. I'm happy to share a little bit, and hopefully, you know, can continue to be a resource for others.
I love it. So I will link how people can find you in the show notes, and I'll probably have you on again. I want to do an entire episode on Midwestern Nice.
Ooh, let's do it. We should probably have my sister. It could be like a dual thing because we are so
opposites. That would be really great.
That would be hilarious. Like how I would respond to something versus how she would respond.
Yes. The Midwestern Nice is strong there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so fun. Maybe we'll do that on location. I am going to come home this fall, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay. And we're still waiting for Evolve Wisconsin.
Evolve Wisconsin. I know. I was just thinking about that. So I need to find a date. I know where I'm going to do it. So that's step one. I know where it's happening.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
Let me call them. I'll call them today. We'll get Evolve Wisconsin on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.